In this video, we are going to discuss how to do the revision of any topic. Now, the old method of revising a topic was that you open your textbook or your lecture notes and you try to revise the topic. This method has proved to be not good, and now we use another method which is called active recall, in which we self-quiz ourselves. As I mentioned in the previous lecture, that when you prepare any topic, at the end you prepare some flashcards or some questions about that particular topic. Now in the revision session, we use those questions to quiz ourselves. So we look at those questions one by one and we try to retrieve the information from our brain, what we have learned in the topic preparation sessions. Now there is a second component to this revision process, which is called spaced repetition. And what it means is that when you recall something, when you answer few of your questions, and if the question is easy, the gap between these recalls should be increased. So this is a method which is used by many software programs, in which you can create flashcards and then the program will automatically present those flashcards to you at a specific gap determined by the algorithm of the program. So these are two components to revision, and I personally agree to the first component, but I don't agree to the second one. And I'm going to explain in a minute. But before that, if you never heard about this active recall, what are some of the things you can do to improve this ability to retrieve the information? Because if you are still using the old method of opening your notes and trying to revise the topic, or opening your book and trying to revise the topic, then you may not be familiar with this method at all. In that case, you can use a few of the exercises that I'm going to explain to you to improve your brain's ability to retrieve the information. So let us see what you can do to improve this active recall, and then we will talk about spaced repetition. So if you are unfamiliar with this method, so what happens is that after 10 days of your preparation, when you try to revise the topic, you open the question, you put in front of you, and you are unable to answer any question. So in the very beginning, first thing you can do to improve your active recall is that immediately after you read any topic in a textbook, you close the textbook and you ask yourself few questions. What you have learned about that topic. It could be only one or two questions, and try to answer those questions. Then after some time, you try to increase the gap. You read the topic today, ask the question tomorrow. You read the topic today and ask yourself questions after 3 days, after 1 week. So this is one way to get into this method. The other exercise you can do is watch any video, any educational video on YouTube or any other platform, and after watching the video, try to write down what are some of the takeaways from this video, and if possible in the question format. This is one thing you can do. Now if you can talk loud, after watching any video or after reading any topic, you can talk loud to yourself as you are teaching yourself about that particular topic. This is one practice exercise you can do. And if you are in an environment where you cannot talk loud, then you can of course write, and try to write in a list manner, 1, 2, 3. Another method which I learned 30 years ago and I still practice and found it very useful is that when you go to bed, try to recall everything from the time when you wake up till going to the bed with as many details as possible. In the beginning, you may not be able to retrieve what happened when you woke up in the morning, but with time you will get better on it, and you will be able to add more details about what happened during the day. Use this every night when you go to bed, and you will see that your ability to retrieve information will improve. Another method which I learned is called enumeration method. And this method is useful for mathematics and engineering students. We solve many math problems, but we are so used to solving some of those problems that we never thought about any steps. We just solve the problem. Now what you do is you try to enumerate all the steps of solving any math problem. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Start from the simple problems. Then you go to more complex math problems and try to enumerate all the steps. If you are an engineering student, take any process or watch a video on that process on YouTube, and then try to understand and try to write down all the steps involved in, for example, manufacturing something or designing a product. Try to put numbers on all the steps. This will also improve your ability to retrieve information. So these are few exercises you can think about it and you can add more similar type of activities to your habits, and soon you will improve your active recall abilities. Now let's talk about the second part of spaced repetition. And the idea behind is that we should recall this information after some gap, and that gap will increase with time. Now this technique is used for memorization. Although memorization is useful for learning, but the main purpose for students is to learn, not memorize. And there is a difference between these two. Memorization helps learning because whatever you have memorized, that information is readily available for you to use, and you can build upon that information to understand more complex concepts. So this is the benefit of memorization. Learning is a cognitive process, and you learn in various ways, not just by memorizing. Therefore, I think that spaced repetition is not very important for students. It is useful to some extent, but the problem here is that nowadays I have noticed that most of the students, they are trying to use software, and those software present some flashcards having some questions to those students, digital flashcards. For example, Anki is a very popular software, and the problem is that with the passage of time, number of flashcards increase, and therefore increase the repetitions, and this process becomes very time consuming for students, and a lot of time is just spent on attending those cards. Now the point here is that a medical student, for example, doesn't have to remember all those medical books around. We cannot memorize all those books, and students tend to make more and more flashcards and put more and more time and effort on just memorizing those details. So I stop the discussion here, and here is what I recommend. In my opinion, only 2 revisions you should be doing during a semester. Once you have prepared the topic, and I have discussed this, that you must prepare the topic comprehensively, maybe in 1 session or 2 or 3 sessions, and then you make 2 revisions. And in those 2 revisions, you can use flashcards and try to get the answer. If not, you can look at the book or lecture notes to get the information again, or if you miss some points, you can do that. And you do only 2 revisions. So this is what I recommend. And now in the next video, I am going to show you a very flexible score-based examination preparation plan. And in that plan, I will show you how you can use a preparation and 2 revision model to prepare for exams with a very flexible approach, while you will be able to see your progress at any instant of time. So this is the purpose of this flexible score-based exam preparation plan. So this will be presented in the next video.